Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. And I guess number 2 is disclosures of pecuniary interest. I don't see any. And we move on to the approval of the agenda for the May 29th Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. So I guess we need a motion from Committee Member Klost and seconded by, oh, I'm sorry, I see it, Pat. Sorry, Committee Member Deline. And all those in favor? Opposed is nobody. Motion is carried. The next one's the approval of the minutes of the January 23rd, 2025 Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. And we need a resolution that the minutes of the meeting in January be approved. Mover. Okay, I'll go this time to move by Committee Member Deline and seconded by Committee Member Klost. All those in favor is carried. And we move to delegations, which I don't see any. So we're on to public input, which I don't see any. And the next is correspondence, and the first one is the council proclamation regarding Global Accessibility Awareness Day, May 15th. Do we need anything on that?
No, we can do the,
And then
do it together.
yeah, and then secondly was council proclamation regarding Red Shirt Day of Action on May 28th as part of the National Accessibility Awareness Week, which is this week. So we need a motion that the printed, oh, sorry, Councillor Sharp.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Chair. I was just going to say to help support and move the motion, and I thought, I know it was yesterday, Red Shirt Day, but I wore my red shirt, and to thank you, Mr. Chair, and Coordinator Louise, and all the members, and thank for all the work. There is a lot of work that goes through the city because of this committee, through developments and actions and services. So I just wanted to highlight that in correspondence. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Sharp. Any other input? Committee Member Kloss.
This morning, as I was going through my Facebook pages, the memory came up from last year, from May 28th, of all of us standing out on the staircase in our red shirts for Red Shirt Day, and it's too bad that we missed it by a day, but I mean, we're still red shirts at heart.
True.
If there's nothing else, then we'll look for the motion that the printed information be received and filed. Need a mover. I've only got, okay, moved by Committee Member Kloss, seconded by Councillor Sharp, and all those in favor, and the motion is carried. Next is the items for committee's consideration, and the first one is a staff report by Louise on the accessible on-street parking request on Quinte Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the committee may remember, this was something that we did consider or discuss a little at the January meeting, and it was deferred back to the committee for this meeting. So the request was received from the Trenton Royal Canadian Legion branch for additional accessible parking spaces for their use from on-street parking spaces on Quinte Street, rather than more that are in their actual parking lot. They do currently have 3 marked out in their parking lot, but a review of their parking lot has shown that they also have a number of other spaces that they could mark and utilize as accessible without going on to Quinte Street. The concern with going on to Quinte Street is that the 5 parking spaces that they have identified are not suitable for accessible parking spaces. There's too much road traffic in that area. Anybody who would be using those spaces, potentially with a mobility aid, would be required to travel behind vehicles, which isn't optimal. And as part of our design standards, we try to avoid that as much as possible when we're identifying spaces that could be used for accessible on-street parking. As well, there are other areas along Quinte Street that would have a more beneficial use of an accessible parking space than down there at the end, which is kind of isolated. As well, those parking spaces are routinely blocked off when we have parades or events that take place in the park for parking purposes and because when you leave the park here after an event, it's a mass exodus. Getting out of those spots would be very difficult. So for those reasons, my recommendation is, as a staff member, is that we respectfully decline or request that their request be declined and work with them to identify spots within their parking lot that could be better used for accessible purposes.
Looking for any further comments? Councillor Sharp?
Mr. Chair, and through Coordinator Louise, I've looked at this very carefully, and I do really appreciate the Legion's outreach to always trying to assist the community and their membership. But I must agree that this isn't the ideal location given all the other traffic and circumstances and so forth. So, I would be prepared to support that we don't support this, and maybe they could look at other ways within their parking space. I just don't think that's the place for this. So I would be, supporting a motion to, it sounds to decline with respect. Thank you.
Committee Member DeLine.
I'm in agreement. I think there's just too much risk to anybody that would be parked close to that area for accident and injury, if with anybody who has a mobility device. So yeah, I would agree to decline.
And Committee Member Kloss.
I'm in agreement too with all the members of the committee, and I think we're all cognizant of the fact that the demographic of the Legion members is not about to change, and they are, as a group, aging, as are the rest of us, and maybe it's time, if they haven't already, and I know they have a lot of contacts with other Legion groups, but what are other Legions doing with the same kind of problem with their parking? Have they got anything creative that could work here? Have they discussed maybe carpooling? Have they discussed, I'm not sure that the request is specific about certain mobility aids, or if it's based on the fact that walking is so difficult for so many. I'm just wondering if we could use one parking space for like a van that could bring some people. Just if they haven't already talked about it, if they haven't already thought of it, maybe that's a direction to go. But in the meantime, I don't think we can make those changes on our streets.
Before I go to the motion, then, I guess to answer committee member Kloss' comments, I am a member of Frankfurt Legion. We are in the process of getting another spot made accessible. And I do know, like, some of our members are doing the type of thing, walking and that, because we have another problem, because now we have a very popular restaurant across the road and people are parking on the Legion spots. And it's kind of hard to enforce because you don't want to upset people. But we are looking in Frankfurt like at adding a spot for accessibility. With that, if we could have a motion to receive the report from Louise. I can read all the numbers, but it's about the accessible on-street parking request. So a motion to receive and file.
Mr. Chair, I think we have to respectfully decline their recommendation in addition to receiving, so they understand that we have dealt with it. I think, what do you think, Louise, do we need more direction or?
So the recommendation before the committee is that staff report AAC 25001 COR by Louise Smith, Deputy City Clerk and Accessibility Coordinator regarding accessible on-street parking requests for Quinte Street be received, and further that the committee recommends that council respectfully decline the request for designated on-street accessible parking on Quinte Street.
I didn't have that part.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, yeah.
Okay, I didn't have that part. That's, so do we have a motion? Once again.
I think we all did it.
I think
Yeah.
Karen.
Oh, Karen moved and seconded by committee member DeLine. And all those in favor, motion is carried. And we move on to the next staff report from Louise regarding the Accessibility Advisory Committee revised 2025 meeting schedule.
Looks good.
Okay. So I am bringing the 2025 meeting schedule back to the committee because of some revisions that were necessary. We had to cancel the February 27th meeting because we didn't have quorum. Then on April 24th, an item came up that we weren't going to be able to accommodate, so we rescheduled to today's meeting. The meeting for Thursday, June 26th is canceled because there is a conflict with staff vacations. And I don't have anybody that could fill in and operate this for us. So our next scheduled meeting is Thursday, August 28th. After that, it would be Thursday, August 23rd. And then Monday, December 8th, which is our alternate date for December 25th. As well, an additional meeting of the committee has been scheduled for Wednesday, December 3rd, to recognize the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, where the second annual Quinte West Accessibility Awards will be presented. Those are the changes that we currently have. Obviously, if something comes up in the interim and we need to host a meeting, it can be, one can be called at the call of the chair if necessary.
Any comments on this? Committee member Kloss.
Just a quick question. I noticed in the communications we received that the meetings are starting at 3, so that's from now on, right?
Yes, at the January meeting, there was a motion put forth to change our meeting time from 4 PM to 3 PM. And the committee agreed, so it is now moving forward at 3 PM.
Okay, need a motion on the resolution that staff report 25-002 COR by Louise Smith, Deputy City Clerk and Accessibility Coordinator regarding adjustments to the 2025 Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting schedule be received and filed for information. Moved by Committee Member DeLine, seconded by Committee Member Kloss. All those in favor? Carried. And we will move on to new and other business, which we start out with the Quinte West Accessibility Awards for this year, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I don't know if the rest of the committee members happen to have seen, but in today's Quinte News, there's an article that Belleville's Accessibility Awards were awarded this week because they do theirs in conjunction with the National Week or National Accessibility Week. It looked like they had a very good turnout of nominees and awards. They did this year just present certificates to those that were attending. And apparently they had a very good turnout and they're pleased with the way the uptake is happening because this is only their second or third year doing it as well. So for our accessibility awards, we've decided that the purpose of the awards is to recognize individuals, organizations, and businesses within the city who are working to build a more inclusive community and making a difference in the lives of our residents who are living with disabilities. Last year, we accepted nominations for a shortened time period. This year, we are proposing, or I am proposing, that our nomination period would run from Monday, September 15th until 4:30 PM on Friday, November 7th, which would then give us approximately 3 weeks before, 3 to 4 weeks before we hold our International Day of Persons with Disabilities Day recognition, where we would again award our, present our awards and certificates to those who are nominated. Does any of the committee have any questions, concerns, comments of things that maybe we could do differently this year?
Councillor Sharp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to everyone. I liked our process, and I really liked the distinguished award, the special artwork that was done for the awards. I thought it was very well done with lots of class and quality and feeling, and I think the dates are reasonable in the process. I don't really have anything to add, but just to comment on the recipients that were honored. Our first time were very deserving. It was a lovely afternoon. I don't have anything more to add, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
I guess I would add myself or ask, do we need a committee set up, or with the size of the committee, are we all on it, or to Louise?
So, again, as we did last year, it is best to form a working group so that we don't have to call an actual committee meeting to enter into any discussions surrounding the nominees of the awards. That way you kind of do maintain a bit of privacy in those discussions. Last year, the working group was comprised of one member of council and two of our public members. We found that to be an easy working solution, and I think if the committee is in agreement, that would be my preferred way to move forward.
Committee Member Deline.
So first, I think I definitely agree with the extending of the, like making the nomination period longer. It was a quick turnaround last year, so, you know, I don't think we had the enough exposure. So definitely having the longer period, I think, is definitely worth it. And, you know, I agree with Councillor Sharp that having that specific award, or, you know, and that design by a local company that represents Quinte West, I think it just sets us above anything but a certificate. So I certainly think if the city is still willing to make that payment on those awards, I think it's definitely worthwhile to continue doing. Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to sit on the committee again, like that subcommittee. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and you get to get some insight into, you know, some people.
I guess, first of all, we need a motion to form the committee. And then I think it's pretty easy to get the members. So if somebody can make a motion to form a committee to work on the Quinte West Accessibility Awards for this year, to be the first part.
Also move.
Moved by Councillor Sharp, seconded by Committee Member Deline. All those in favor, this is easy. Motion is carried. Next would be members for the committee. Committee Member Deline has already mentioned herself. We have one councillor here today. Councillor Sharp, are you interested in acting on the committee for the awards?
I think Councillor Freeman, was she on it, Louise?
Not last year. Last year you did, so you.
Oh, I did. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, then
So-
I'm happy to.
Yeah. So if you want to switch off,
Too many
and
committees.
this year would be her turn.
That's fine. If I can't, then Sally would, I'm sure, be my alternate. Happy to be involved. Thank you.
I know Irene was part of the committee last year as well.
Oh, good. Irene.
Irene was on the committee last year, and I think she's interested.
Okay, in that case, Committee Member Robbins will be on the committee, barring she's saying she won't. If somebody does go out and they need somebody, I'll act as an alternate to fill it, but that sounds good to me, and I don't think we need a motion on that. But the members will be Councillor Sharp, barring Councillor Freeman, and Committee Member Deline, Committee Member Robbins.
So we do need a motion.
We do need a motion for those three members of the committee, moved by Committee Member Klost, and seconded by Committee Member Deline. All those in favor, motion's carried. Which takes care of our new business for now, but I'll poll the committee for any comments. And I will start out by just a quick one. I am going to ask Councillor Sharp if she will give me a call at some point later on. Same business as I talked to you before, but with some additions. It's not business for this committee.
Okay, I understand, Bill. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
So, Committee Member Kloss, anything?
No new business.
Committee Member Deline, any new business?
No, I have nothing. I just did bring forward the Quinte West Accessibility Awards to be added to this agenda. So that was my new business.
And thank you for that. And Councillor Sharp.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
So barring that, we have a motion for adjournment. Moved by Committee Member Deline, seconded by Committee Member Kloss. All those in favor? Motion is carried and the meeting is adjourned.
Good
Thank
afternoon,
you.
everyone. Thank
Have
you,
a great
Bill.
day.
Bye.